Hey y'all, Liz here, and I've got your Daily Lizard. Today is Workflow Wednesday, and we are still talking about building good teams, but today we're going to talk about making sure that their performance remains the same. And the book that we are referencing this week is Brendon Burchard's High Performing Habits. Hold on, just like, let me grab that. And here it is. Alrighty. So if you haven't checked out this book yet, give it a shot. It's a great book, and it will help you to get your teams to perform well and create habits that will have them performing well over time. All right. So Workflow Wednesday, and what I want you to think about today is how all of your systems, processes, etc., are great the way they are today, but they're all going to be evolving as your business evolves. And I'm sure you've all seen this where, everything's working great, and then all of a sudden things just start breaking. A little something here, a little something there, and pretty soon people aren't following your processes anymore. They're not going to the process roadmap. They think they know how to do the thing already, and a lot of times it is because the information on your process roadmap isn't right. It's inaccurate for how they do things today. And it can be just a myriad of reasons why this is going to happen. Sometimes it's because your internal processes have changed and intentionally, but you didn't update the process, right? Anybody ever had that happen? I know I have. How about outside influences have changed in some way? A good example of this is when you created your floor process. The homes had a lot of wood floor and maybe vinyl, just an example. And everybody was following these processes, and there was no real process for how to manage tile. And then all of a sudden, a couple years go by, and gosh, all of the houses now have tile. Well, one of two things can happen. Well, there's one of many things can happen, but one of two things tends to happen. One, people continue using the process on the tile, whichever process you had, the one for vinyl maybe, and that just doesn't work well on tile. Or they modify the process because they got tile and they got to get it clean, and now your process doesn't match what the people are actually doing. Both of these things are not good for you, right? You don't want them. All right, so one way to be able to manage this is to set up a system where you check in on your processes at least once a year. And depending on the process, you might need to check in on it more often, especially maybe some people processes, things that are really important, maybe pay processes, those types of things. All righty. There are two ways to be able to do that. Let's talk old school here real quick. If you are operating old school still, you probably have some type of a calendar, like Google Calendar, Outlook, something like that. Put all of your processes in that calendar, or create, like if you have Google Calendar, you can create your own little calendar for processes, right? And you can memorize things in there so that they pop up on the calendar on a certain rotation. So you might have check your pay process, have a nice link there for your pay processes, put it on the calendar, memorize it for every 6 months or whatever you want to do. And now in 6 months, it's going to pop up for you to look at that pay process again, or those pay processes. So nice, easy, old school way to do it. If you are more automated, then set it up in ClickUp or in GoHighLevel, whatever you're using for automation. I think a lot of people are still using Keep. Set up an automation that reminds you every however long, 6 months, to look into that process. And somebody gets tagged. And again, it doesn't have to be you, right? Because we're trying to build a really great self-sustaining team. So who should be tagged? Who should be reminded? All right, get an idea here? Get everything on a list so that it gets checked. Now, you need to also put into someone's schedule that piece that every day at a certain time or a certain period, they are checking that, either they're checking that folder or they're doing that work, depending on how you have it automated. Everybody following me so far? You can see how if you have everything in there, it's not overwhelming because you don't have to do anything, right? You just handle the one or the two things that pop up on a day. If you have more than 250 processes, or 260 processes, you're going to have more than one a day, right? Because we only have the 260 days in a year. But if you have less than 260, you can do one a day. And you just check one process and see how it's doing. How does it look? How is it still accurate? Easy peasy, right? Okay, so your daily action for today is this is kind of a big action, but you don't have to do all of it. I like this idea though. Find 10 processes that are important, critical to your operations, that you know need to be followed and that people need to be doing it the right way, and schedule them. Whatever method you want to use, go old school, go new school, and get those scheduled so that they pop up on the rotation that works for you. All right, and if you're a high achiever, post down below. Tell us what it is that you decided to do, what processes that you are scheduling, or did you go old school? Did you go new school? Tell us why. I think sometimes there's benefits to both, right? Depending on who you have working for you, depending on a lot of different things. All right, that's it for today, and hope to see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.